per second. So 1 HP. So you know that the man is a supreme animal on this earth, and he is controlling all the other animals. You know that, and he is more efficient in doing all operations. And also, only the limitation is there. You can develop only 0.1 HP. What are the disadvantages? You cannot work continuously. And you know that sometimes skill is essential to do the work. And it also depends on the seasons. So in some seasons, it become more fatigue. Next is the animal power. Animal power, you know that bullocks are widely used for farm operations. Bullocks, mules, and donkeys. So especially in the Telangana area, the donkeys are used for farm operations such as plowing and other works. So donkeys, so their special donkeys are Adoni donkeys, especially in the name Adoni, these donkeys are very popular. So generally, an animal can produce 1/10 of its body weight. It produce 1/10 of its body weight, and you know that a pair of bullocks, a pair of bullocks can produce 1 HP. A pair of bullocks can produce 1 HP, so that a single bullock can produce 0.5 HP. I think, okay. So, what happens during early days, these are the main source of power, especially for tillage. Now, the population of cattle is day by day it is decreasing, because as the man needs mechanical power, as the man needs mechanical power, and also the rearing of animals becomes nowadays is a costly affair, especially for the bullocks. So because they are only operational season wise. Today the people rear these cows for milk only. So they are not doing farm operations. I think you might be knowing. So these and also, what are the disadvantages of these bullocks? So they cannot work continuously. So they may work for 2 hours and they need rest. And also, the limitation of the work. Limitation of the work is there. And then, what are disadvantages? Again, season wise. Season wise, they cannot work more during this summer, and also in rainy season it is affected. And also the rearing of these animals is a tedious problem. Rearing of these animals is a tedious problem because of the cost involved. Because of the cost involved. Next, so these are the other 2 sources of power which I have not discussed yesterday, last class. So now we go to the second chapter, that is IC engines. IC engines, what are IC engines? IC engines are nothing but where the cycle of operations, that is where the combustion of the fuel takes place inside the engine cylinder. We call such engines as internal combustion engines. So external combustion engine is one in which the combustion of the fuel takes place or the external that is outside the engine cylinder. Example, steam engine. So in this steam engine, the power of the steam is utilized in doing work. Okay, that is external combustion engine. So earlier there were steam in railways. I think might be knowing. Now they have stopped because of the diesel engines. And you know that again, basically these IC engines are classified into two types based on the type of fuel used. Number one, diesel engine and petrol engine, depending on the type of fuel used. Again, depending on the strokes, they are classified as four-stroke cycle engine and two-stroke cycle engine. So what is four-stroke cycle engine? Here, the cycle of operations is completed in two revolutions of the crankshaft. The cycle of operations is completed in two revolutions of the crankshaft or the four piston strokes. Such engines are called as four-stroke cycle engine. Whereas, if the cycle of operation is completed in two strokes of the piston, we call such engines as two-stroke cycle engine. Here, the cycle of operation is completed in one revolution of the crankshaft. So before going to that, so these are the difference between the two-stroke cycle engine and four-stroke cycle engine. Let us come to the picture. You observe the four-stroke petrol engine. So here you can observe that there are four strokes. They are called as suction stroke, number one, number two, compression stroke, number three, power stroke, and number four, exhaust stroke. So how this four-stroke cycle engine works? So let us study each stroke separately. Look at the figure. Let us come to the suction strokes. You see that the piston is there. So later I will explain what are the parts of the IC engine. So you can see at the top, you can see the spark plug. So this is the cylinder.
Sir, it is not.
It is not visible in your.
No, sir.
Okay. Which I have sent, it's not visible.
Sir, send ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಇದೆ.
ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಅವಳು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು ಇದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀರಾ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಫೋಟೋ ನೋಡಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ?
ಹೌದೌದು, ಆ ಫೋಟೋ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್, ಹೇಳಿ.
See that figure.
Yes sir.
So in this, you see that the piston is there, which up and down inside the engine cylinder. The piston, you see that. Then there is a rod which connects the piston and the crankshaft. You can see that. The top of the piston, so there is the piston, what is called cylinder head. That is called cylinder head. And you see the valves. One is the inlet valve and the outlet valve. And you see that what is petrol engine? What is petrol engine? So the petrol engine which uses the fuel petrol, and you see that at the it is ignited by the spark plug. You see, in case of petrol engine, ignition is taken care by the spark plug. Whereas in the case of diesel engine, ignition takes place by ignition, that is by the, you know that at the end of the compression stroke, the fuel is injected into the combustion chamber so that the ignition takes place. This is the difference between petrol engine and diesel engine. Whereas in the case of petrol engine, ignition is done by with the help of spark plug. So let us come to what happens in the suction stroke. Refer the figure. So here there will be some difference inside the combustion chamber, or you know that the pressure inside the combustion chamber is less than the pressure outside the combustion chamber. So there will be some pressure difference, and air is sucked in. Air is sucked in, and the piston downwards. You see the position, there is some arrow mark is given. So the piston begins to move downwards so that the entire combustion
Sir,
chamber is filled. Yeah.
1 second, sir. Devendra, off your mic.
Now
Devendra, off your mic.
Yeah.
you see that here in the case of petrol engine, we see that the charge is air plus fuel, which I have not told you. The charge is air plus fuel. In the case of petrol engine, the charge is air plus fuel, whereas in the case of diesel engine, only air is taken inside the engine cylinder. But in the case of petrol engine, air plus fuel is taken inside the engine cylinder. So the position of the valves, see, inlet valve is opened. See the position, it is clearly seen. The inlet valve is open, whereas the outlet valve is closed. So that is the suction stroke. I think you have understood what is suction stroke. Now the entire cylinder is filled with charge. The entire cylinder is filled with the charge. So what will happen next? What will happen next? Go to the compression stroke. Go to the compression stroke now. You see that the compression stroke. What will happen? Here, the second one, the compression stroke we are studying now. Observe carefully. What will happen? The entire cylinder is filled with the charge. The piston starts moving upwards. The piston now begins to start moving upwards. See the position of the valves. See the position of the valves. Both are closed. You see that? Hey, can you see the figure? Has anybody answer?
No, sir.
Why you are not seeing the figure?
No, sir, not visible.
Sir, it is not visible from beginning only, sir.
I've sent the figure, but it's not visible.
ಸರ್ ಅದೊಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಲರ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
Oh, okay. Once again, I will send it. ಕಳ್ಸಪ್ಪ ಅದು ಈಗ ಬಂತಲ್ಲ ನೋಡೋದು. ಇವಾಗ ಕಳ್ಸಿದೀನಿ, ನಿಮಗ್ ಕಳ್ಸಿದೀನಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ಅದು ಯಾಕೆ ಬ್ಲರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ? ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ನೌ ಐ ಸೆಂಡ್ ದಿ ಫಿಗರ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಕಳ್ಸಿಗ ಓಕೆ, ಸೆಂಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಕಳಿಸಿ ಈಗ. ಹಲೋ, I think now you can able to see.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now coming to the second one, compression stroke. See that though both the valves are closed, you see that both the valves are closed and the piston begins to move upwards. The piston begins to move upwards, compressing the charge. So the piston begins to move, compressing the charge inside the engine cylinder. What will happen? Yes? What will happen? Anybody? Due to compression, what will happen? Yes, Ankita?
Sir, since I was not referring to the figure, I was not getting, sir. Now I am getting, but sir, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Due to it is a gas tight chamber. You know that? Gas tight chamber, so that the pressure and temperature of the charge gets increased. The pressure as well as temperature of the charge gets increased. So that at the end of the compression, the spark plug ignites the charge. At the end of the compression, the spark plug ignites the charge. So that is the compression stroke. That is the compression stroke. Coming to the power stroke. Now coming to the power stroke. What will happen in the power stroke? At the
Piston will go down, sir.
piston move down. Why?
Sir, because the power during the ignition, the power has like that fuel has been ignited, so it will come.
Correct. Who is talking?
Devendra Dansena, sir.
Okay. What happened in this case? So at the end of the compression stroke, the spark plug ignites the charge. So combustion of the charge takes place. Okay. What will have the combustion of the, that means, that charge, that is air plus fuel, that automatically it burns, releasing carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So which forces the piston downwards. Which forces the piston downwards, the power is released. That is why it is called power stroke. So due to the combustion of the charge, power is released. Some force is released which pushes the piston downwards. This force is called as the power. Power, hence the stroke is called power stroke. I think you understood what is power stroke. What is, see the position of the valves? See the position of the valves here. The both valves are closed. Both valves are closed. See that? Okay. Both the
Yes, sir.
valves also are closed. So this is called power stroke. Next we'll go to the exhaust stroke. Coming to the exhaust stroke. So due to this, the piston moves downwards in the power stroke. What will happen when the power, when the piston moves downwards? The power is transferred from the connecting rod to the crankshaft, where it is transferred for doing useful work. So whatever the power is developed during power stroke, that is utilized at the end of this crankshaft. That's how power is utilized. So coming to the exhaust stroke now. So already the exhaust gases, what are the exhaust gases? They are inside the engine cylinder. They are present inside the engine cylinder. They have to be expelled from the engine cylinder. So in this, you see the position of the valves. Inlet valve is closed and outlet valve is opened. See that? Inlet valve is closed and outlet valve is opened. So now the pistons begins to move upwards. The piston begins to move upwards. That is pushing the exhaust gases, out of the cylinder. Pushing the exhaust gases, that is the mixture of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, to outside the engine cylinder through the exhaust valve. You can see the dotted one, it is their exhaust gases. So they to the atmosphere through the exhaust valve. What is the position of the inlet valve? Yes, what is the position of the inlet valve?
Closed, sir.
It is closed. It is zero. Elinda? ಓ ಇವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. That's how the cycle is completed. That's how. So the four-stroke cycle engine consists of suction stroke, compression stroke, power stroke, and exhaust stroke. So the cycle of operations is completed in four strokes of the piston, hence the name given as four-stroke cycle engine. So in the four-stroke cycle engine, the cycle of operation is completed in 2 revolutions of the crankshaft. Okay, this is about the four-stroke petrol engine. Okay, whereas two-stroke cycle engine is one in which the cycle of operation is completed in 2 piston strokes and one revolution of the crankshaft. I think you understood what is a four-stroke cycle engine, that is four-stroke petrol engine. So today we have to understand this. Next I'll go to four-stroke diesel engine. Only the difference is the charge is air is only the charge in the case of diesel engine, and the air is compressed, and at the end of the compression stroke, the fuel is injected into the combustion chamber so that the ignition of the charge takes place. That is the major difference. Since the terms are very new for you, let us study about the different parts.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, which has the better efficiency, two-stroke or four-stroke engine?
Four-stroke. Four-stroke is more efficient. Now we come to let us see the parts of the IC engine. I think you can see open the figure, parts of the IC engine.
Excuse me, sir.
Can you see that?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, why four-stroke is more efficient than two-stroke engine, sir?
So in this case, more power is obtained in the case of four-stroke cycle engine, and it is more durable, and if the usage of the fuel is less. So let us see the parts. You open that sketch. Can you open that sketch? Parts of the IC engine. Can you see that? So in this, you know that the piston is there. Can you see the piston? What is the function of the piston? Piston is the part of the IC engine which compresses the charge. Okay. I think you understood. Piston is the part of the IC engine which compresses the charge. Next, piston pin. Piston pin which connects the piston and connecting rod. Piston pin is one which connects the piston and connecting rod. So there are 2 rings are provided. So they are called piston rings. They are called as piston rings. One is called the compression ring. The other one is called oil rings. What are the function of these 2 rings? The compression ring is placed above the top of the piston, whereas the oil rings are placed at the that is bottom of the piston. What are the functions of these two? The compression ring, that is, which removes the heat from the piston, whereas the oil rings, they scrape away the excess oil from the piston. That because you know that in the oil rings there are grooves on the surface. There are grooves or holes on the surface through which the oil scrapes. Coming to this is the connecting rod. See there, which is like a rod. It has got two ends. One is the big end and the other one is the small end. What is the function of the connecting rod? What is the function of the connecting rod?
Sir, it delivers the power.
Yeah, of course. It joins the piston and crankshaft. Okay. It joins the piston and crankshaft with the help of what? Piston pin. With the help of piston pin. Now coming to crankshaft. Crankshaft, you can see the crankshaft which converts the reciprocating motion of the piston to rotary motion. So by which the power is transmitted for doing useful work from the crankshaft. Coming to the valves, you can see the valves also. One is the inlet valve and the other is the exhaust valve. So inlet valve is used for the suction of the charge, whereas the outlet valve expels the burnt gases outside the cylinder. You can see the valves. Here you can see the engine block. You can see the engine block. The top one is called cylinder block. That is called cylinder head, and below is the cylinder block. The top one is the cylinder head, and this is the engine block. So these things you can understand in the practicals only. These things by looking figure you can't understand so easily, but only by seeing you can understand. And this is the camshaft. You see the camshaft? The camshaft is like a rod, a steel rod. It looks like a steel rod on which there are projections are made. You can see the projections are called as the cams. These projections are called as cams, and that is why it is called as the camshaft. Camshaft, the function of these camshaft is to operate the valves of the IC engine. So you know that the valves moves up and down. So that is done by the camshaft. The motion of the valves is done by the camshaft. Generally, you have seen the engines. The engine block is made of what material? The engine block is made of cast iron. It is made of cast iron. It's a good metal, and is the properties of it is quite strong, but it is brittle in nature. It is brittle in nature. That is used for the machine tool body. Machine tool body. However, this class, I think you have understood what is the four-stroke cycle engine and different parts of the IC engine. So that I will take a separate class for the IC engine parts. That is a separate class. I once again take it in the separate class so that you can understand better. Now, I will ask some questions you have to answer. What is an IC engine? What do you define an IC engine? Yes, Gautamiyam, define an IC engine. Open your videos. Why you see what will happen if you don't open your videos? We don't know where are you. Hmm? Whether you are attending or not, we don't know. Hmm? Yes, open your videos. Others, Dhanush, just we are seeing the names. That's all. Just we are seeing the names. But where are you? We don't know. Whether you are attending or not, that we don't know. That's why I'm asking questions. What is the difference between IC engine and external combustion engine? Hemant? 0074. Likita? So this is the disadvantage of online teaching. But there is no other go. During the COVID period, I can't help. Is anybody?
Sir,
Can you-
combustion takes place outside the cylinder, sir, in external. Whereas in the internal, sir, the combustion and the burning ignition takes place inside the cylinder, and then the power is transferred.
Who is talking? Who is talking now?
Ankita, sir. Ankita, sir.
Okay, okay. Open your video. Why you are not opening? Any problem?
No, sir.
Hmm. Yes, you can open, no problem.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
So the combustion takes place outside the cylinder in the
Okay.
external, sir.
Open your video then.
So I have opened, sir.
Open.
So it's not visible, sir.
Not visible. Why?
So I have opened, sir.
You opened, but I can't. It's not visible for me. What happened? I don't know. Huh?
So I don't know.
Okay. So now, anybody, can you give What are the events taking place in all the four strokes? Now, anybody can give what will happen in the suction stroke, what will happen in the compression stroke, what will happen in the power stroke and exhaust stroke. Yes, anybody? Yes, Mr. Gagan SM, can you explain suction stroke? Can you explain suction stroke? Gagan, Ananya? Ananya KP. So either of you can explain what is suction stroke, how it works.
Sir, charge is taken in.
Yes, what happens in the suction stroke?
Sir, gaseous mixture and charge is taken in, sir, through inlet well.
Next. Gagan is talking. Who is talking?
Sir, Devendra Dansena.
Oh, okay. Then, what is the position of the valves? What is the position of the valves in the suction stroke? So here, inlet valve is opened, exhaust valve is closed. Yes, next. Air is sucked in through the inlet valve. And the piston moves downwards. The piston moves downwards so that the entire cylinder is filled with the charge. What is the charge? What is the charge?
Air plus fuel.
Air plus fuel. In the petrol engine, what is that? Air plus petrol. Air plus petrol, that is the charge. We call it as the charge. So what mixes air and fuel in the petrol engine? What is the name of the device which mixes the air and fuel? Carburetor. I think you have heard of this name. Carburetor, which mixes the air and fuel in the petrol engine. Carburetor is the device which mixes the air and fuel in the petrol engine. So you have to go through once so that you can understand better. Again, you have to read once the IC engine so that you can understand better. I think Arshita Yan. Yes, open your video. Yes, I hope you will have understood the principle of operation of a four-stroke cycle engine. So now I want you to write an assignment on, that is, write a neat sketch of four-stroke petrol engine and explain the principle of working. Okay, all of you should write this assignment. All of you should write this assignment. And also the sources of power. The two assignments you have to write. Sources of power and what are its demerits and merits. These two assignments should be shown in the next Thursday. 1 week time is there, you can refer and write. Okay.
Okay, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Huh?
Can you repeat the assignment questions, sir?
That is sources of power. Sources of power. What are its demerits and demerits? Second one, write a neat sketch of four-stroke petrol engine and explain the principle of working. And explain the principle of working. What we have studied today.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll complete today. We'll complete we'll end the meeting today. Okay, I think you have followed. Have you followed?
Yes, sir.